Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Generative Geek. This is going to be a slightly longer video. What we are going to do is we are going to build an application backend where I'm going to basically build the backend using Flask. We are going to use a mechanism that I displayed in the previous video where we're going to have all our prompts and our models and the way in which the model should be called, the sequence of the models, what our output strategy should be, whether we want all the models to be picked or we want only one model to be picked. All of that is there in the Airtable. So my backend is first going to make a call to the Airtable to figure out which models to call, whether it should call Claude, whether it should call Perplexity, whether it should call OpenAI, and what prompts it should send to those models, right? So I'm going to first figure that out. Then, based on the output strategy, we are going to keep calling the models. So there are only two values that we did in the previous video. If you remember, I'll just open my Airtable where all of this is saved. We have two ways in which two output values for output strategy, right? So first is where we have return all and the first result, right? So if you look here in this column, it says first result, right? So what that means is that for this let's say for this row, this specific row, it will first call llama 3.1. If llama 3.1 fails, then it'll call GPT-4o mini. If that also fails, then it'll call GPT-4o, some specific version of GPT-4o. And here we have the model providers, and I have two values in the output strategy. One is first result, the other is return all. First result basically means that whichever, if when you are calling the sequence, if let's say llama 3.1 fails but 4o mini returns the result, don't go any further. Like, the first result is what we are interested in. Return all as a strategy is about maybe you have use cases where you want to compare the outputs, right? So in that case you will do return all. So this is where we are. We built this whole thing in the previous video. If you have not seen that, my suggestion is just go back to the previous video and you can have a look at it. Otherwise, in today's video there is nothing like, if you don't know the previous stuff, you won't be able to understand. If you have slight acumen, you can really understand. Here's what I'm going to actually build, right? So based on that, we are building the backend right now. In the first video we built the Airtable. Now we are building the backend, and this backend is a slightly longish backend because I'm also going to longish backend in the sense the video is slightly longish because I'm going to also not just build the backend, we are also going to deploy the backend on Render, right? Render is a very interesting platform. If you don't know, you get like free instances as well. And create a login for yourself, and you will see what I mean when we also get there. But the beauty of the video is I'm not going to write any code all by myself. I want to show you how to basically guide AI models to build the right code for you. So we're going to build all of this without writing code by ourselves, right? So we are going to make use of Perplexity, and within Perplexity, because I'm on Pro, I'm going to make use of Claude. So I'm going to make use of Claude for AI model, Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I'm going to make use of that. And we are basically going to see how these models respond and how they help us build the entire application. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I'm on Perplexity now. And let me just again go back to the image that I showed you of the design. While we are building the backend, we want to give very detailed prompts so that the model understands what we are trying to build and then guides us in that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this image, come back to Perplexity, and upload the image here, right? So I just want Perplexity's model, which is Claude 3.5 Sonnet, to know that, hey, this is what I'm trying to build, right? And now I'll do is I'll just start writing. Why did it do paste.txt? That doesn't seem right. I'm just going to, maybe it pasted something from Excalidraw, maybe a JSON or something. What I'm going to do is, instead of this, I'm just going to take a screenshot and then paste it on Perplexity, right? So I'm just going to take the screenshot and paste the screenshot on upload the screenshot to Perplexity, right? So um, and now this the fact that we have the image, now let's start building our prompt or our instruction for Perplexity. So what I'm going to do is I want you to, maybe, if this video appears slightly longer to you, maybe watch it in 1.25. I'm trying to record this with slow sound and slow voice, like, I'm trying to speak slowly, uh, because I want you to understand how to think about these systems, right? And given the fact that I share these videos with a lot of my own colleagues as well, I want them also to understand how to think about AI systems and how to make them do your work, right? So watch it at whatever speed that helps you, but watch it in full, right? I want you to act like an expert at developing back-end applications. I want you to develop a webhook application. I'm saying webhook because I wanted to understand that, hey, right now I'm only interested in the webhook, right? So if you look at this, this application basically takes some data from a Chrome extension that I'm going to build in another video. Now this Chrome extension is sending the video ID of the YouTube video and the application and section. Now this backend should take that, figure out the transcript for that video, and then find the right prompts and the right output strategy and the right model, and then call those models, figure out what the output should be, and send that output back to the Chrome extension, right? So that's what I'm trying to build here, right? So I want you to develop a webhook application that will take that will take a video ID and an another variable called application underscore section, um, bases the values of the video of the parameters from the payload. Following should happen, right? So I'm now describing my application to it, right? So what I'm saying is following should happen. First, um, if application underscore section is blank, you should use 4 hyphen yt hyphen su as a default. Now why I'm saying 4 hyphen yt hyphen su, because if you look at my Claude, I have the app underscore section. Oh, sorry, if you look at my Airtable, this is the app underscore section is the value that I'm referring to as application underscore section. Now the logic is that each application can have different sections. I can build a large application. One part of it does summarization, the other part of it does maybe some creative creation, the other part of it does some transcriptions. So the prompts and the models for that can change, right? So each application, so you register an application, you register the summary, the section, and it gives you a unique app underscore section for it. That app underscore section will have a system prompt and a user prompt, and basis that, when the webhook gets called with this app underscore section, we are going to make a call to the Airtable, find out which models to call, whether this configuration is even allowed. If it is allowed, this is active has to be true. So all of that we now want to first check, right? So if it is, then use 4su as default. You should then make a call to Airtable. Base and table will be provided as part of a configuration file. Um, your call should be to the field, to the table, and the field to check for is app underscore section. This field will have the value corresponding to the application underscore section sent as part of the payload. Okay. Now, so what I'm doing is I'm just instructing it that, hey, this is the application, you need to make a call to Airtable, right? And we'll build this application in steps. So first I'm just describing all of it, then I'm going to give it instructions to say, hey, you know what, now give me the Airtable code and all of that. So first step is that, I'm just describing all of this, right? So your call should be to a table. Next, what we want to do is, let's look at the image again. I'm first going to call this table, and we are going to fetch the entire row. Your results should always only have one row. right? So only one row should get retrieved, because if two rows are getting retrieved, that means something is wrong with our table, right? Second, once this has happened, I want to now make a call to the LLMs, right? Basis the we should, from the output received from Airtable, we should first check if is active is set to true. If is active is enabled, it's a checkbox on Airtable. We can the reason I'm describing what it is so that it can use its internal knowledge, and maybe I'm sorry, the value that it has to check is equal to 1 and not true, right? So it will know what it has to do. The more detailed your prompts are, the more detailed your instructions are, the better output you can expect from these AI models, right? So that's the goal here. From the output received, we should first check if is active is set to true, if is active is enabled. Uh, then check what is the output strategy. Output strategy. Output strategy refers equal to first result, means that we should try out the models um, in the sequence in which they appear in the list till we get a result. If the first result matters, for output strategy equal to return all model outputs should be uh, called. All models should be called, and all outputs should be appended to a list, right? So I'm right now describing my application, right? Next, let's just do till here for first. What I'm going to do is, I'm now going to give the model some instructions. So instructions to follow when designing this application. There are more modules that will come up, including uh, AI model calls using LangChain, etc. Right. So second, the reason I'm giving LangChain here as a hint is so that it designs the application in that way, right? So, but let's see what output comes back, right? So there are modules that will come up, including AI models using LangChain. Next, what I want to do is you should first right now give me a design and a folder structure for my application. Sorry. um, Use popular libraries instead of the building the connectors. So for example, for Airtable you might want to use Pi Airtable, right? So now give me the design. I have also attached a screenshot to help you understand this the flow, right? So let's see what it comes back with, right? So I'm getting the output back from Perplexity now. Let's see what we are getting. It's saying here design the folder structure, outline the application flow, list popular libraries. Okay, so it's giving me now a folder structure. It's saying, hey, video processor is the name, app. There's a folder called app, and within app we have all of these. There's a folder called tests, and we have requirements.txt and readme. Entry point for Flask is main.py, which is sitting within app. Okay. And now it's also giving me the code. It's saying, hey, webhook is equal to blueprint from Flask implode blueprint. Uh, and Airtable service, and then there is an LLM service, and there's a payload model, payload.py. Okay. And okay, so I'm going to assume that I don't know much about Flask and I don't know much about coding, so I'm just going to keep doing whatever this guy asks me, right? So but what I'm going to say is that, hey, thank you, I get the folder structure. Can you give me a command which I can run on my Mac terminal to get the desired folder structure? My folder, my root folder is called, I have already created the root folder and it's called YouTube. Let me just go to terminal. It's called um my folder where I'm going to start with is called this. Okay, now let's see, but the objective here is that, it should give me the scripts, the so that I don't want to write any line of code. That's the goal here, right? So the objective is, um, can it basically give me um copy and paste code that I can just keep putting in my environment, and wherever I'm getting stuck or wherever I have issues, I'm just going to keep sharing those issues and screenshots with this with Perplexity, right? So hang in there. We are there now. So it's first asking me to do a CD and then do this. Okay, so I'm just going to copy whatever came and just run this, right? So I can see these things came up. I don't know if you can see the app folder came up, models and all of that. uh, so all of this has come up, right? So we don't need to now create the folders all by ourselves. I can just now go into app, and here there's main.py, and it has given me, above it has already given me some code, right? So but it has not given me the contents for requirements.txt, right? So um, can you give me contents for requirements.txt? So what we are doing is iteratively we are asking Perplexity to do some things. It gives us an output. We take that output, we then run that output on our system. Whatever results we get, we then pass it back to Perplexity saying, hey, you asked me to do this, I have done this, and this is the output I'm getting, right? And in the process, I'm also going to basically coach it, right? Like it's using certain version numbers. I don't want it to use any version numbers. Why are you using specific versions? Why can't, for our project, we have latest builds of these libraries, right? So, and the other thing with LLMs is that, I could see that I have misspelled this, but you can ignore it because they are very good with catching spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes, right? So again, you can assume that that's not required. You don't have to worry about these things. So what it has done is it has said, hey, it should be greater than or equal to, and I think I can still live with this. So I'm just going to come back to my Claude, to my Perplexity, sorry, to my Visual Studio Code, and copy paste the requirements.txt here, right? So mm, I can still see that, it has not installed a few libraries, but I'll come to it when we need those. Like, like LangChain community is missing, LangChain hyphen OpenAI is missing. But we'll come to it when we have to make LLM calls. At that point, I'm going to give some instructions to it and see how it goes, right? So we are here now. I'm just going to press Command Shift P. We don't have an environment, so I'm going to create one environment. So Python create environment. I'll go with venv, and I'm going to select 312.3, and it has detected that I have a requirements.txt. So I'm just going to use that for creating the environment, and I'll just say okay. Now it's creating the environment for me. While it is creating the environment for me, what we'll do is we'll again come back quickly to uh, we'll come back quickly to our Perplexity, right? So my things are done. Now I'm just going to start copy pasting the code it gave me earlier. Um So from Flask, import this. This is my webhook.py. So is there a folder called routes? Yes, there is. Is there a webhook.py? Just come here, pick, do Control Shift, Control V, right? Airtable underscore service.py. Where is it? Where is it? It's in services. Is there a folder called services? Yes, there is. Airtable underscore service. Okay. Next, LLM service. Okay. I'm right now just copy pasting whatever it gave me, and then we'll see later on how to handle all of these things, right? So model slash payload. Uh, okay. And that's it, right? So now it's saying, hey, once you have this, activate. I have, let me just go back to it and say, hey, thank you. I have created the folders, uh, added code that you gave me for the various files like main.py, airtable, service, etc. What should I do next? Right. So, and let's just quickly come back here, go to terminal, and I can see vn. Let's just do a pip freeze, pip freeze. And if we see Flask, I think we are sorted. Yeah. So I can see Flask. So we seem to be sorted for now. Now let's see what this guy is doing, right? So it's saying, hey, create a .env file and add these things here, right? So it's saying in your project root. Now I'm going to act as if I don't know anything what project root means, and that's what I'm going to start asking it. I don't know where my project root is. Can you help? Right, so it knows the history. I have already shared which folders I am in. It helped me create those folders as well. So I'm just going to say, hey, this is your project root. So this is where I need to create my .env file, right? So anytime you are in any sort of a doubt, give it the instructions. Ask it that, hey, you know what is it that I need to do? And it's saying, hey, in your env file, add these three keys, right? So how do you get these keys? Now for Airtable, if you remember from our previous video, you go to Builder Hub within your. Let me quickly again show you in case if it was too quick. We'll first go to the base we want to be in. Once we are in the base, and now if you are using Postgres or if you are using MySQL, again the same things will follow in your instructions. Maybe instead of Airtable, you should just tell it that, hey, you know what, I'm using MySQL or I'm using SQLite, right? So you can use anything you want because this video series is aimed at storing this information in Airtable. I'm using that, right? So click on your profile icon and click on then Builder Hub, right? So Builder Hub is then going to take you to personal access tokens. I'm just going to create a new token here, and I'm going to say, hey, prompt model lookup uh, GG, which is Generative Geek demo, right? So, and next I'm going to add some scopes. We need data.records read, we need data records write, and we need a schema read, right? So, we need these three things. I'm just going to create the token. My token has come in. I'm just going to copy it, come back here. This is my Airtable key. Okay. Put it in double quotes. This is my key. Next, what we need is the base ID. Now the base that I have, did I give it some access? No. So we need to give this token access to a base. I already have a base. If you don't have a base, my suggestion is you should watch my previous video quickly or create a base and give that base an access. A base is nothing but a database, right? So within Airtable, you give it some access to some table, right? So this is the table that I have. This is the table, and I've given that table access. Uh, this key has access to this table now. So now we'll go back to the home, and in order to find these two values, right? Airtable table name is basically in your thing. This is the table name, right? So llm underscore configs in my case is the table name. So these are all tables, right? So llm underscore configs is the table name. What we are now going to do is come back here and just put the table name llm underscore configs, and the base id in Airtable. If you don't know, what you can do is click on this help. It's usually this string here is the base id, right? So app hq, all of that. But let's just say you are finding it hard to figure out. Click on help, come back to API documentation, the last menu item as of while I'm recording this video. Come back here and you get the base id, right? So it's apphq, right? So that's the base id. And this base id, now I'm going to come back to my config file and paste the base id here, right? So all of our settings are done. Next, let's go back to Perplexity and ask it that what is it that I need to do, right? So implement the LM service, okay, extend the webhook. I don't know where my project root is. I have added the keys in the .env file. Now should I run the project? If yes, how? Right? So let's just see what it gives back to me. I'm just saying, hey, I'm giving it the right steering, right? So I'm not writing code all by myself, even though I know I should just do python main.py. I want it to tell me that, hey, everything is ready and this is the command that you need to do, right? So it's saying, hey, first activate, once your thing is done, export Flask app, set the Flask environment variables, Flask run the Flask application. Why is it saying Flask run? Okay. Let's see. I'll just go back to terminal and I'm just going to say, hey, my thing is activated. So I'm just going to copy this. Uh, right? And I'm going to say Flask run, right? So error failed to find Flask application module, use app name main to specify one. Now, the fact that I've got an error, I'm just going to do take a screenshot of this and paste that screenshot and give the screenshot to this guy, right? You might need to use a package like this. So in here's a conflict, right? So in our requirements.txt there is no mention of python.env, right? Should I add python-env in requirements.txt? Can you ensure you do not miss such instructions again? Right? So let's see what it comes back with. But the idea here is to keep guiding the machine, saying, hey, this is what I asked you and I don't know why you missed it. It should have been there in my requirements.txt, but you clearly missed it, right? So I'm just going to add this now in my requirements.txt. Come back here, uh, requirements.txt, and now again we'll do a pip install dash r requirements.txt. Requirement already satisfied. I think I forgot to save. And yeah, um, okay, I think python.env was already there. It was already there. Okay, so it's already there. Now what we need to do is come back to this guy, give it the screenshot that we took. I'm getting this error, right? So I'm just going to say I'm getting this error. Let it analyze the error and come back to me, right? So I'm getting this error. It's going to read the image, figure out all by itself what is the problem, and then suggest something. I'm going to just take whatever it suggests and give it the answer, saying, hey, this is where I am. Unable to find the application, app.main module. This usually when the Flask instance is not set properly. First, make sure your app/main contains the Flask application instance. Main.py. Okay, somehow our main.py is empty. I think I missed copy pasting anything in this, right? So did it give me the code? Let's just go back up and see, did it give me the code for main.py? How did I miss it? Right? So webhook.py. I think it did not give me any main.py code, right? So um, I think you missed sharing with me main.py code earlier. Are you sure that this code is what is required to make my application work? Refer to the history if required. Right. So I'm saying, hey, you know what? Now, out of a blue, you're suddenly suggesting me that I should have this main.py. You did not give me the main.py earlier. So now, but is this the right main.py, right? So I'm just asking it, you're absolutely, I should have provided you, let's rectify this and ensure it's saying this is what your main.py should be, right? So I'm just going to paste this, control V, control S, command S, save. Save is done. Now let's come back, clear, same thing, export Flask. I'm just doing the same thing, Flask run, and I'm getting another error now, right? So import error now this time, and I'm just going to do again the same thing, control C, control V. um, but what I'm also going to do is, what happens is oftentimes when you have these images coming up, these will keep taking a lot more time now, right? So I'm just going to view sources, and I'm going to keep deleting these images, right? So I'm deleting this image. Let's see, so that I don't have to worry about the output speed, right? So otherwise, as the number of images become more and more, Claude will first keep going through the images, and then maybe some images are not even relevant. This seems like a bug. Bug to me, I'll call it a bug, because I would want Perplexity to have this feature where I can just quickly remove a file if I don't want the file, right? So now I'm getting this error, so I'll just paste this error and see what it comes back with, right? So I've just pasted this error saying, hey, this is what I ran, and I'm getting an Airtable API key, check the contents of config.py. Now it asked me to put it in .env. It never asked me to put it in config.py. Do we even have a config.py? I think, yeah, we have a config.py, but I don't have it in my config.py. I have it in my .env folder. So let's see what it comes back with, right? So again, while I removed the sources, it's still able to see these sources, right? So app, let's fix this issue. Make sure your env file contains the following. It already contains. Let's update app.config. I'm just going to copy paste it here. Now app.config is basically reading the .env file, and then whatever variable value comes here, it's then getting passed, right? So make sure your file is correctly importing these variables. From pi Airtable import table, Airtable service, from pi Airtable import table, from app.config import these things. Yeah, all of the other things seem all right. I'm just going to do a clear, again do an export, and now do a Flask run, right? So let's see. Okay, the server seems to be up now, right? So I can see my server is now up. My server is up. Can you give me a curl command that I can make use of, which will invoke the application and trigger the call to Airtable, right? So I'm just going to ask it to give me a curl command. While the curl command is simple, but let's, the objective of this video is to not write any line of code by ourselves. It's basically to just keep giving instructions and keep following whatever this guy is asking us to do. So it's already giving me something, content type application JSON. Now in case of video ID, let's say you go to YouTube, and you want to watch any video, right? So this video, this thing is your video ID, right? So I'm just going to say, hey, the video ID that it's asking me to run is this one. So I'm just going to change um change this thing here with this string, and let's see what comes back. Rick Astley never going to give you up, right? So it's given me a song, which is okay. Let's just take the song, right? So the idea is that this is the video ID, okay? And it has given me a curl command to run this. So I'm just going to copy paste this, come back to a terminal, delete this terminal, launch a new terminal, and just paste in the command, right? So let's just see. It got the request. I got back a 200, right? So result is processing complete, but I don't see any response, right? So I'm just going to say, hey, this is the response from the webhook. Can you please return the entire row as a result? Right, so I want to see what the results are, right? So what is the result that Airtable has given back, and therefore it's important that I ask it to modify. uh, whatever I'm returning. Mostly what must be happening is, this is the webhook.py. Let's just quickly look at it, right? So what it is doing is, it's written all of my code here. um, and then it's saying, hey, JSON error, invalid application section. It's looking at the output strategy, it's looking at model sequence is probably not the right thing to look at. um, but I would rather want it to return the entire row back to me, right? So let's see what it is doing, right? So it's saying, open your app, process video function to return the entire row, right? So is returning the entire row. Make sure your Airtable service class, and this is returning the entire row. Okay, so I'm just going to copy paste. I'm not applying my mind right now. I'm just going to copy paste whatever this guy asked me to do. I'm just going to, right? So now go back to Airtable service. Um, Copy paste Airtable service. Oops. Yeah, copy paste Airtable service. And I see some errors because the imports went away, right? So it did not give me imports. I should just change the class, right? So some of these things you will have to keep in mind, right? So, and now with that done, let's go back to the terminal. um, our app is still running, but I'll just run another new instance, and again run the same thing, right? So okay, so now this time if you look at it, we sent the video ID. Let me just take this up. We sent the video ID, and this is what we have got back as response, right? So this entire thing is our response. We are getting back 4 ytsu. I'm getting an application configuration ID, created, last modified, model provider, it's a list, models. Now these are individual record IDs from Airtable because this is a referenced field. But when we have to actually look at the models, the field will be name from models, right? This is the list which has the models, output strategy, summarizer, all of it, right? So we have now got the entire thing back. So our call to Airtable is working fine. And next what we need to do is, so with this we are done with this section. So our lookup is happening fine. Now we need to build this part where we'll evaluate what came back and then make a call to the LLM accordingly. So we have our application coming along pretty well. If you look at it, we have a Flask application ready. We have not written a single line of code by ourselves. This application makes a call to Airtable, fetches this entire row, bases a certain logic. We have not written a single line of code there as well. And now we are going to make use of whatever prompts. So if you look at this entire thing, this is the row, right? This is this row. Let me just, this is this row: llama 3.1, GPT-4o mini, grok, openai, first result, right? If you look at it, llama 3.1, first result, section is summarizer, system prompt. What I'm now going to do is, I want to build this part now where we'll start making calls to LLMs, and I'm going to instruct it to build it all by itself, right, using whatever we have. So the way we are going to do is, I'm just first going to give it the response and say, hey, you know what this is. And let me again try and remove the source, right? So I'm still seeing the sources. I'm just going to remove these two sources because I don't want it to keep referencing those sources even in future, right? A problem is, uh, as we if it keeps referencing those sources, those images, it might get confused because that's becoming part of the context, right? So now it worked. uh, the response I'm getting is this, is below. Can you remember the response and the field names, as we will be referencing those in future, right? And I'm not correcting any spelling mistakes, like, referencing and all that. I'm not correcting any spelling mistakes. I'm just taking it for granted that this guy, who's my intern, he understands, they understand what I'm trying to do, right? So it was able to quickly parse the response and say, hey, you know what, this is what I got, this response structure. In future we can refer to those fields when implementing. Wonderful, wonderful. Now I want your help. Now I want your help with building the with building um, the part where we will make use of the model names and model providers that we got from the response, and make calls in that sequence, whether we need to call all the models or just the first result model. Make calls in that sequence to the models. I want to use LangChain for this. Our providers will be mostly OpenAI, Grok, Perplexity, Anthropic. Please let me know what files need to be updated and how should we think about this, right? So I'm just giving it some more requirements. It already knows what we are trying to build, and I'm trying to just write English and ask it that, hey, you know what is it that we how should we actually handle all of these things. And I'm hoping that will now suggest me also the libraries that we need to add, like, LangChain community and all of that. Chat OpenAI, Chat Anthropic, Chat Grok, Chat Perplexity seems all right. And I can see that it's importing all these. I can also see that it's importing Chat Anthropic, Chat Grok from there, and community model is in Chat Perplexity. It's also asking me to update something. Okay. It's asking me to update the requirements.txt, and you can see that it has added all of those. Wonderful. So we'll first update the requirements.txt. So I'll come back here, go to requirements.txt, and just update this. Come back to my terminal, do a pip install dash r requirements.txt, and install all of these, right? So cannot install because these package versions are conflicting. Now this is what happens when you have these kind of things, right? So this time it made a mistake. It instead of doing a greater than or equal to, it did a pi Airtable, right? So uh, why do you have specific versions in your requirements.txt that you just gave me? I had asked you to either remove those or have a greater than sign, right? So I'm now asking it that, hey, why did you? And if you look at the error that we got, the error was largely that only, right? It said, hey, I'm trying to do, but pydantic 202 is there some conflict with the specific version, right? And that's what happens when you have specific versions that you want to do. So now it is giving me a different one. It's saying, hey, use greater than or equal to. I'm just going to go back to terminal now and do a pip install dash r requirements.txt, and hopefully it will all work well this time. Yes, it seems to have worked well. I'll just close this. I'll also close this. I'll also close this, right? We only need two terminal windows, one for running our Flask, the other for running the curl, right? Um, so now my config is done. My requirements are done. I'll just come back here and start updating whatever files it has asked me to update without going through the contents, right? That's the goal. Webhook.py. I'm just going to paste whatever it gave me. And next, I'm going to model underscore service. Where is it? Model underscore service is in app services, model underscore service, app services. I don't have model underscore service. Is this a new file? We'll need to create a new file. Okay, yes, let's call it app services model underscore service. Okay, app services model underscore service or services model underscore service dot, oops, rename model underscore service dot py. Okay, paste the content, command s, come back. uh, are we done? Was there anything else? It said model service webhook. I think webhook I have already done. Yeah. Sure. Right. So results is this: output strategy, video transcript, system prompt. JC for unified model underscore service dot call models. Model underscore names. Okay. Let's see what comes back, right? So I'm just going to run this now. Um, Go back here to terminal. We have our Python already, Flask already running. I'm just going to say Flask run. Okay. And I got an error. So I'm just going to clear this first and then again run this. Got an error. Just come back here, paste the error, right? So that's what I'm doing, right? I'm not trying to debug what the error is. If you look at it, it says chat grok could not be imported. So maybe there is some problem with chat grok. But we did have it in requirement. So I'll just bring this thing little down, langchain hyphen grok. Okay, let's see what it says. Um, I apologize. The error was due to reset changes and recent changes. Now, the good part about Perplexity is because it has the search enabled, it can do some crawling and all of that. So it's saying, "Hey, seems like there has been some change, right?" So it's um, now it is saying also update your requirements.txt file. So we are going to requirements.txt and let's first make the changes, right? So pip install dash r requirements.txt requirement already satisfied. I think everything is all right. um, I'll ask it to give me the complete code. Give me complete code for model underscore service.py, right? So it should give me the complete code for it. I don't want it to have just give me portions which have changed. There are times when I'm okay with it. Right now I'm not in mood for it, uh, to go and search for what needs to be changed. So I'm just going to ask it to give me the complete code, right? So I'm just going to come here, come to model service, paste the complete code, come back, do a Flask run, clear Flask run, and the service is up. And now again we are going to do the same thing that we did earlier. Oops, we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take this up, clear, and we are going to make the curl request, right? So let's see what comes back this time. Results: validation error for chat grok, did not find grok API key. Wonderful, right? So did not find OpenAI. So you can see that it tried that. Now it is trying something else and it's failing there as well, right? So it clearly forgot. Um, it seems you forgot to make me add keys. Yeah, I'm just going to. I hope it did not ask me to do all of that anywhere. No. So these are like the things where you will have to keep guiding the model, where you will have to say, hey, you know what, it seems like you forgot, right? It's asking me to now update my .env file. So I'm just going to come back here, .env, close this, not touching the section above, come in here. Here we'll have to put our keys. And just to show you how you get your keys, on Perplexity, you go to settings, you go to API, and you can then generate a key for yourself, right? So and you can copy the key and paste the key, right? So Perplexity, our key is this, right? So similarly for Anthropic, console.anthropic, you can come in here, get API keys. I can just come in here and say prompt model lookup demo gg demo. This is the nomenclature I'm trying to follow. I'll just copy this key, come back here, and don't worry about the keys. I'm just going to post this video. Before uploading the video, I'm just going to go into all of these and disable the keys, right? So um, that's what you should also do. Never expose your keys to the public. Both of these keys I'm going to revoke, so I'm already going to delete this key, and the other key I'm going to expose, delete in a while, right? So yeah, so I'm here. Let's see. It's saying, hey, you know what? Do this. And now in your thing, okay, we have added Perplexity. Now just go to platform.openai. Again, platform.openai is where you get your OpenAI keys from. come in here, usage API keys, create a new secret, prompt model lookup gg demo, generative key, create secret key. Just copy this key, come in here, paste it, done, grok, right? So for grok, the way to do it is you go to grok, console.grok.com/keys. Grok is free right now, so um, I prefer Grok over many other things right now, and also it's very very fast. So it really helps if it's fast, the outputs come back very very quickly. I'll just create a prompt model lookup gg demo. Yeah, submit, get you, gives you the key, you take the key, come in here, double quotes, paste, right? So all our keys are now done. Now let's go back, close this. What was it that it was asking me to do? It's saying, hey, modify the model service class to use these environment variables. Okay, so I'm going to modify this to get these, right? So model underscore service needs to be changed. Rest of the code remains the same. This is where the problem is. So I'm just going to give me complete model underscore service, right? So don't just give me like the things that have changed, because I'm not keeping track, right? So though it's saying only the model service class has changed, but let's ask it to give me the complete code, right? When you can have someone write the complete code for you, why not do it, right? Though I don't do that always, but right now I'm in that mode where I'm not writing anything by myself, right? I'm okay, just observing. Now go to terminal, delete this terminal, this as well, clear, do a Flask run, works. Now come in here, clear, let's see what comes back, right? So it's, I think it is trying to do something this time. Is there any response is equal to model changes, was deprecated, will be removed, use invoke instead? Why did I not get any response till now? Right, so um, again, sometimes what you have to do is you have to ask the model to do a lot of print statements in the code, so that when you are giving it back the screenshots or maybe the stack traces, it can look at those prints that it might have added, right? So it has sent back some response, break 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 break, what happened, man? Model llama provider is grok, relevant subcategory written. Okay, quick summary, break 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 break, doesn't look like the right kind of response that we want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first copy paste this. Yeah, can you modify the output you are sharing with the webhook as a response to only have the LLM output, include the model, so something like um, JSON output result, whatever result you got from LLM, comma, model, whichever model responded, right? Also add some debug print statements, so that if there is an issue or an error, I can give you a more detailed trace. Now let's see, right? So I've already asked it to do some changes. Now let's see how it looks at those changes, how it comes back. But our app is coming around well, right? I don't know what this break is, but it does look like, and I'm also going to give this thing these warnings, saying, hey, don't use call, use invoke and all of that. But first let's get the thing working, right? So once the thing is working, then we can have model underscore service needs to be updated. Okay, let's come in here. So you're seeing, guys, how we are not writing any line of code, we are just writing English right now, right? So and we are getting a full-fledged application built for us, right? So uh, this is the, if this is where we are right now, think about where we will be when we all you have to do is just give some mock-up or some screenshot and just sit back and relax, and the app will be automatically deployed, right? So that future, I think, is not very far off, but that's where we are headed now, right? So models, where is webhook.py? Is it in routes? Yes. Come in here, just do okay. Yeah. Is there anything else it has asked me to change? No. To see the debug output, you might have to add this in my main.py. Okay, no problem. Let's do that. Port logging.basic. Sorry. So now let's come back. All our files are saved. Come back to the terminal. Come in here, Control C, clear, Flask run. Right. So come in here, clear, curl. Right. So now let's see what is happening. Right. So something is happening. I don't know what is happening though. Okay. It seems like our model Llama 3.170 billion versatile responded. These are the results. There's no transcript provided. Please paste the transcript you would like me to summarize. Now look at this, guys. We forgot one very key thing, which is I made a call, and this is because I was just referencing the this image. This application, if you remember, gets the video ID. There has to be a piece of code which does transcript management, right? So the transcript has to be gotten. We have to build that transcript. The way to do that is either we take the mp4 and do a transcription using whisper, or we basically take the transcript from YouTube, right? So I'm just going to take the shortcut way right now. I'm just going to take the transcript from YouTube. And this is, in a way, very interesting, because now what we are going to do is we're going to come back here, clear this. I missed one critical detail. This is how the output is looking like right now. I want you to add a feature where when we pick up the video ID from the webhook payload, we should find the transcript for that video from YouTube, and then if the transcript is long, we should chunk it and then send those chunks iteratively to the LLM. If the chunk is not, if the transcript is not long, that is less than 4,000 tokens, then we should not chunk it. We can then take the various outputs for the chunks and send a final call back to the LLM for prog. Right. So what we are now doing is we are asking it to, or let me just make it little simple for now, right? So I missed one critical detail. This is how the output looks like. I'll share the output. Where we pick up the video ID, we should find the transcript. I'm not going with the chunking right now. Let's first build the basic part, right? For that video from YouTube, you should then send the transcript as part of the prompt, right? So that will become the part of the prompt. uh, Append it after the user prompt from Airtable fetch. Now let's see what it does, right? So fetch the integrate the fetch into the prompt. That will be sent. Update the model service to include video security requests sent to the AI models. Test the complete flow at debug logging and all of that, right? So now let's just see what it is doing. uh, but this is how iteratively you need to think about it. And the way I forgot to give it the output. Okay, I apologize. You are absolutely right, and we should indeed fetch the transcript. Let's modify the model service class to incorporate. We'll need to add a new method to fetch YouTube transcript. How is it? It's using YouTube Transcript API, which is good. Uh, and Okay, I'll just take this model service underscore py. Again, I'm not doing anything, right? So I'm just going to copy paste whatever it says. That's the whole objective of the video. I should not be writing any code by myself. I should just be copy pasting, right? So webhook.py, let's just come here, webhook.py, command v, none. Come back, YouTube transcript. Okay, come to requirements.txt and add YouTube transcript API. Now go back to the terminal. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything else. Clear. Pip install. All set. Now come back here, Control C, clear, Flask run, right? So Flask run is now running the server. Server is up, clear. Let's make the call, right? So now something is happening. Okay, I think maybe the output is about to come. Yeah. Quick summary: the transcript appears to be the lyrics of the song Never Gonna Give Up, and this has been processed by Model Glama 3.170b. In my thing, I also had key insights. The power of commitment, the song highlights the importance. It's a song, so not the right fit, but you get it, right? So, our app with the proper response is now ready, right? So, I have this coming back as the response. What we can do is I can have I can have this split thing somehow doesn't, I don't like this that much. So I'm just going to kill everything and maybe restart, right? So terminal, Flask run. Okay, we need to do some exports now again. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, Flask run working well. Can I find that girl? Yeah. So I'm just going to make a call. Yeah. And I can see a lot of things are coming. A lot of debug information is coming. I don't need a lot of it. I was okay if it was just a few lines just telling me what's happening. But it's outputting a lot of stuff right now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, so at this moment, guys, our service is ready. This is the response that the webhook is going to send back. And now let's just quickly deploy this service. Let me just give it, this is the response. Thank you. Right. So are we still getting that warning? If we are still getting that warning, no. Looks like the warning is gone. Yeah. No, I'm getting a deprecation warning. Right. So I'm just going to add this here. It'll say, okay, the bounce is straight. I'm getting this warning. Can you help with this? Right, so I'm just sending it whatever warning I'm getting. It's just that we need to use invoke instead of call. And I don't even know where it is coming from. I have, like, in this entire video, and most of my coding these days has come to a point where I'm just blind, in the sense I'm blind to what it is doing. I do look at it just to see that it is doing things in the right way and following my instructions, but I'm not, like, looking at the code, what it is typing and all of that, right? So it's saying model underscore service, look at the call underscore models, there is a model messages, change it with this. That's it, guys. So let's go to model underscore service. It's saying there is a model messages. I'll just do a control F, model messages. Yeah, instead of this, it's saying, hey, change this to response is equal to model.invoke messages. Okay, the updated method should look like this. And cool. After this, we can again run it. Let's just go back, come in here, Control C, Flask run, come in here, clear. Again, testing it. Is the warning there? Warning seems to have gone. Yeah, calling model. I'm not seeing any warning now, which is great, right? So, uh, I just want to tell you how I'm feeling and all of that awesome codes. Right? So guys, our application is ready. Next step is we'll now start deploying this application on render. As a first step, what you should do is you should go get yourself a login. Um, and I'm logged in through GitHub, so I'm just going to log in again. And once you log in, is there like a referral link? No. No, one which is okay. I was like, if there's a referral link, maybe I'll add that in the YouTube descriptions. But just go to render.com. And when you come to render.com, just be here. Now, what I want to do is I want to ask Perplexity to help me deploy this thing on render. My application is working fine now. Help me deploy it on render.com. Yeah. So let's see. Now, what I'm expecting from it is that, the steps of how I should go about deploying it. We don't have anything on Git right now. Is it going to ask me to set up Git and GitHub and all of that? Prepare a project, ensure project has a requirements.txt, create a render.yaml. I'm just going to take this render.yaml, um, add Gunicon to your requirements.txt, create a new web service, connect your. I don't think we have a GitHub repository. You never asked me to do any Git stuff, right? So I'm just going to. I'm appearing as if I don't know any much of it, and this guy has to keep guiding me on what to do. That's how I'm approaching this problem, right? So you see, the space.txt is still going. This is why I deleted some of the sources, and what Perplexity should do is give us like an easier way to delete sources as well, right? So create a render.yaml in your project root. Okay, I'm going to create a render.yaml in my project root. uh, Render.yaml, YAML. Okay, next, add Gunicon. I'm going to add Gunicon. Yeah. Next, go to dashboard, register, create a new web service, click new plus web service. Okay, yeah, let me just, what you have to do is go to dashboard, click on this new, there's this web service, right? Click on it. Click on this web service. Next, come back, upload your project file, compress your entire project file into a zip folder, zip file, upload this zip file to render. Okay, that's not what I want, because I want automatic deployments as well, right? Uh, uh, I don't like the deployment approach. Can we do it through Git and GitHub so that automatic changes to my main branch are pulled in by render? So what render has this automatic CI/CD. If you are using GitHub, it will, any changes to that repository, it will be able to look at those changes and then quickly deploy those changes for you. So PR reviews and auto deploys are available only for repositories configured with render.yaml, right? So uh, initialize Git. It's now asking me that, hey, do a Git init. And let's just do whatever it says, right? So clear Git init. Okay. Next, it's saying touch Git ignore. Just keep doing. Okay. Touch Git ignore. Next, it's saying add following to Git ignore, dot Git ignore, add following to it. Bring this down, Control C, Control V, commit your files. I'm just going to do whatever it says, right? So create it. Now go to github.com/new and name your repository, YouTube action insights GG demo. Okay. Uh, Demo repo for the YouTube video. Yeah. Create repository. I'm just going to create this repository. This gives us this. At this point, I'll just take this, come back here, git remote add is added, git branch dash main m main, git push dash u origin main. You can also just keep following whatever it is asking you to do, right? So it's also asking you to do the same thing. Prepare for render, ensure you have requirements.txt, create a render.yaml file, commit and push these changes, git commit dash m, add render configuration, git push. Yeah. um, Git push. Okay, so my repository code is now pushed. So if we go here, we should see that there is code here now, right? So now what we should do is, and because git ignore has .env, you don't see any secrets getting pushed, right? So now what it has to do is we have to sign up, click on new, connect your GitHub account, and this is a public repository. Yeah, so I'll just copy the link, come here, push a git public repository, say connect, and now it is asking us what are the main things and all of that, right? So you have to select the region. My branch is main Singapore because I am in India right now, and Singapore is closest. Set the name, keep the default settings, add your environment variables, whatever is there in your .env file. Now you need to come in here and create those environment variables on render, right? So that render can then use those, right? And I'm going to select the for hobby projects. This is free. uh, Next, add environment variables. So Airtable API key, whatever is your, does it have like add from .env? Okay, it has. So we're just going to do a control A, control C, control V, add variables. Okay, came. Yeah. So wonderful, right? So you can just do a copy paste and all of these variables will be done. Next, what just click create services, right? So create deploy web service. When you do this, what will happen is it will uh, pull your repository, and it will start deploying, right? So it's cloning right now, it's checking out and all of that. uh, and anytime, let's say, you change anything, it will also get automatically pushed on render. If you push it to GitHub, it will also get pushed here, right? So that we'll be able to see. Now let's see. Once this thing is deployed, it will take a little while, so get yourself maybe a break. I'm also going to pause this video and come back once the deployment is done. The deployment is still going on. It's uploading the build now. I think the build was successful. Build uploaded, build successful. uh, Once the build is successful, it will now deploy that build. Once the deployment is done, usually what you will see is it's still deploying, but once it is done, you will see a green mark here, like like you see on my prompt model lookup. You see that this is uh, it will tell you that the deployment is ready, right? So this green, sorry, I was looking at it at the wrong place. This green says that it's deployed. This is how it will change, right? So, and says this is free instance. If you look at my other one, this is my starter instance, right? So you can have various types of instances. Free instances failed to deploy, something went wrong. Deploy logs. Okay, let's see what happened. Track back, get ADDR. Failed to find attribute app in app. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just copy paste all of this and just give it to um, deployment failed for some reason, right? So what I'm going to do is this deployment should not have failed. uh, is it because our main.py, there's some problem with that? Let's see, right? So exited with status 1. I'm just going to come till here, copy my deployment on render failed, see the logs. right? So let's see what it finds, right? So um, instead of going out and trying to debug it ourselves, which is probably the last resort anyways, the first thing that I want to do is just see that uh, this thing is able to get my error, right? So it's already deployment failed because Gunicon is unable to find app attribute. This is likely due to how your Flask application is structured. It should contain something like this. Update your render. Make sure project structure is correct. And these changes, my main.py is below. Should I change it? I don't want to go out and start figuring out things. I want it to figure out things for me, right? So that's what I'm trying to do, right? So it's saying, hey, something is not right. Let's see what it comes back with, right? So it's still figuring out, this is like fairly common when you're working with these LLM driven systems. Keep your main dot, but create a new file called wsgi.py in the root directory and put this there. Okay, create a file called wsgi.py and add this here. Okay, and in your render.yml put this. Where is my render.yml? I'll put this. uh, okay, next, commit these changes, git add. Just copy this, come back to the terminal. Now that I have pushed a new change, uh, because my render is still not configured, it should again try to do a manual deploy latest commit, right? So I'm now trying to do the latest commit deployment and see what comes back. Yeah. um, I'm just going to pause this here for now and then again come back. And the reason is that this video has become pretty long already. So I'm just trying to do some optimization on time here for the viewers. The deployment is still going on. And let's see. So one of the key thing that I also realized in the process is that, when we were filling out these values, there is one value called start command, right? So your start command here and your start command in render.yaml should ideally match. That was not the case. So that's the only edit I have done. You should come here, make an edit, and when you save this, it'll trigger a new deployment, right? Um, so see remaining free usage. Okay, we'll figure that out, all that right now later. Um, okay, deployed to fail, exited with status, check deploy logs. Okay, the problem continues, right? So Gunicon WSGI line $1 command not found. I think there is some copy paste error, right? Command line $1. I think here in settings, when we come here, I have a extra dollar here. That's the problem. That's what gave an error, right? So simple things, but at least I was able to show you how to edit, right? So this was the only edit change I had done, and now that we have saved it, new deployment has just started, right? So this is again going to pull the repository, do a build, then do a deploy, right? So let's go to logs, um, and it will come up like, and I think the log streaming might be slightly slow right now for whatever reason. If I go to dashboard, it says deploying. If I come here and I say, I can see that, it's now collecting packages that we have put in our requirements.txt, and it's going to do all of that, and it's going to build and then deploy. Now it's deploying. I hope the deployment goes through. If it goes through, then what will happen is we'll get this link will become active, right? And right now I'm getting 404, but once this goes live, we'll be able to make a curl request to this thing, The same curl request that we are making to our local endpoint, we'll change that, the endpoint, and we should be able to see process underscore video returning back something, right? So let's wait for it. So now it says that thing has worked and our service is live. You can see upload build uploaded, deploying, running Gunicon. Your service is live, right? So now if I go here, it says live, and what we can do is just copy this, come back to um, my again. Let's ask Perplexity to give me one. Awesome. My service is now live. It's on. Can you help me with the curl command to test it out? Right. So I'm asking it to give me a curl command so that now whatever command it gives me, I'm just going to paste that. And my service is now live. It's on this update render. I think that's because it is sending a lot of things in the context, which I don't want it to send. Right. So some of the things, okay, it's now giving me this. So let's see. Right. So I'm going to come into some terminal, expand this up, and now make a curl request, right? So if I make a curl request here and you go into your prompt, into your service, to the logs, something, some problem, right? So I'm getting a 443. I think what is happening is YouTube is blocking us right now. So YouTube is blocking it, and therefore fail to fetch video transcript, right? So it's I'm the request is hitting our endpoint, but it's not working because YouTube is blocking renders IPs probably, right? The other way is, while I wanted to do this thing using the video ID and grabbing this from here, um, the other way is that we build a Chrome extension that fetches the transcript and passes it back, right? So that's the other way. Uh, but that's a different methodology. Maybe what we'll do is in the next video, when I want to build the Chrome extension, I'm going to build it in a way that the Chrome extension itself will send the video, will send the transcript, right? So that's how then we'll see. Right now I can see that the request reaches, but YouTube Transcript API is not able to fetch it, right? So because YouTube seems to be blocking the transcript gathering process. I can have another way, which is there's a service called API. I have also not tried it that much, but if you look at API and you see YouTube transcript, they build scrapers. So YouTube transcript scraper. Let's pick the one that has maximum stars. This one. Try for free 3 days, then $20. I don't want to pay $20, obviously. YouTube transcripts, $5 for 1,000. Try for free. Uh, Try for free. Okay, so we can actually just use one of these services, right? So to get the transcript, but these are all various ways. For now I'm slightly disappointed because our service is working, but the YouTube transcript API, please add which version of you are using and provide the information needed to also make sure that there are no issues which you already described. Responsible. It's just that Google is these days, Google is causing issues, right? So Google is blocking these IPs. So yeah, so guys, this was it. In this video, while I could not show you how to have like a fully working app, but in the end what we did do was we deployed the app on a render. We have an LLM that is getting called, but here we could not have the LLM simulation. So let me do this. Let me just quickly make some more changes. Yeah. Somehow the YouTube transcription is failing. It seems like YouTube is blocking the IP address and therefore no subtitle is getting returned. Let's see what Perplexity has to offer. Maybe it will offer a fix, but let's see. um, and all of these things that you are seeing, right, ensure the app variable render.yaml, all of that is coming because of the other problems, other imports that we have done, like the other sources that it has access to. YouTube is blocking the items by your application. Use a proxy, implement rate limiting, use an alternative transcript, implement caching, use YouTube's official API. Proxy one. Is there a free proxy that I could use? Let's see. It's giving me how to do it. It's just that I don't want to pay for something right now. Any issues? I should ideally, what I should do is I should just remove the sources. Yeah. So that way, at least, whatever sources we have, they will not cause problems. Once this thing gets, once I get a response. Now, see, it's a very simple question. It could have replied very simply, but it's going through all the images, everything. And there are six more, right? So if you look at it, there's six more. Maybe whatever we have shared till now, all of that is getting sent, right? So security concerns, use a paid preview really a proxy, consider reputable paid proxies, respectful to their terms and all of that. Yeah, I agree. View sources, I'm just going to delete all of these sources, right? So mhm. Here we could see that, let me just maybe show the same thing to you on my local. Here you can see that how it is replying back with emojis and stuff. These are the key insights. My prompt was that, if you look at my prompt is that, provided below is a transcript of a video, quick summary. Your output should include following sections: summary, quick summary, key insights, action items. You can use emojis with key insights, action items, awesome quotes, all of that, right? So, and if you look here, it says key insights and it's using emojis, right? So it's able to get that instruction very clearly. And these are awesome quotes. Um, but the transcript itself is not available. Let's retry once. Maybe this time it'll go through. Who knows? Yeah, though once YouTube starts blocking you, it starts blocking you. There's no way. The request has come in. Am I live tailing the logs? Let's see. Yeah, I'm live tailing the logs, but it's not fetching the transcript. Uh, Sorry, guys. This video will have to end here because it's become too long. But in the next one, what I'll do is I'll try to fix this a little bit and then see what we can do. Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a good one.